Let me grab that. Okay. We have Phoenix for the Atari 2600. We have two very well-known games right here. Not only Pitfall 1, but also Pitfall 2 in a very kind of nice, interesting label variant there. I mean, it's not technically a variant, but, I mean, that's what Activision games normally look like, but for Pitfall 2, they went a little bit different, which is quite nice. I like that. Let me put these away over here. Very good. We have Planet Patrol from Spectravision. We have Plaque Attack from Spectravision, from Activision. Why does everything end with Vision? That was the cool thing back then. All the companies were like something Vision. Two variants of Pole Position here from Atari. We have Popeye. We have Pressure Cooker from Activision. We have Private Eye from Activision, also in a little bit of a different label style than what Activision usually has. Cubert from Parker, a game I'm sure many people are familiar with. Raiders of the Lost Ark, also known as Indiana Jones these days. Real Sports Baseball. Now, yeah, if you think sports games are exciting on consoles today, you just haven't experienced sports until you've played them on the Atari 2600. Your pixel beating up on the other pixel. We've got boxing. We've got football. And everyone's favorite, volleyball. And let me see if I can place these away nicely over here. It's not going to work too well. So we'll have to deal with that later as I get to the next stack. Okay. Very nice. Whew. What do we got? We have 3 more stacks after this stack, plus some boxed games, plus some accessories, plus some of those ones. Why did Atari have to have so many games? No, this is awesome. I'm actually quite enjoying looking through all these myself. River Raid from Activision. Robot Tank from Activision. We have Rock and Rope on the Coleco cartridge there. We have Sea Quest on an Activision cart. We have Shark Attack for Atari games by Apollo. So this is just kind of a label different for Apollo. Shark Attack right there, not inspired by Jaws in the slightest. We have Skiing from Activision. We have Sky Jinx from Activision. We have Sky Skipper from Parker Brothers. One of their cartridges right there. We have, this is an interesting one, we have Atari 2600, Snoopy and the Red Baron. And this is a pretty interesting game. You have the label on the end there. I've always liked the way that cartridge looks. We have Solaris from Atari. We have Solar Fox from whoever these guys were, CBS Electronics. And someone is stepping really hard on the floor up there. We have Solar Storm. No picture on this one from Imagic. We have Space Cavern from Apollo. And let me just pick up this stack here. We have Space Chase from Apollo once again. We have Space Invaders, although I have to show this one because we have a couple of variants of Space Invaders right here. We have middle kind of age Atari Space Invaders. We have Telegames Space Invaders, game number 112. And then we have super old Space Invaders from Atari, which is kind of interesting. So, a whole bunch of different variants of that right there. Let me put those there. And I should just really get the other 3 stacks and bring them over at this point. Kind of. I kind of don't want to get everything mixed up with my other games, though. If you saw what the couch looked like right now, it's the biggest disaster. And I want to keep everything in alphabetical order. Okay. Think. Alright, let's do it this way. I'm going to grab this stack, and we'll see what happens. I have no idea at this point. Okay. And again, a couple of those. We have Space Jockey from VidTech. I think that's a new cartridge variant. Here is an older version of an Activision cartridge. It used to just be a completely blue label with a white border and white text. So there was like no picture, and it was always blue. And that one is Space Battle. And you got Space War from Atari. You've got Spider Fighter, Activision. Spider-Man from Parker Brothers. You've got Spy Hunter from Sega. Sorry, not Sega. From Sega and Midway. And many people, I'm sure, have probably played Spy Hunter on consoles like NES. Spy Hunter was even recreated on like PlayStation 2 and 360, no, not 360, and Xbox and GameCube back in those days. Activision Stampede, Stargate from Atari, and Star Master from Activision, which I always accidentally read as Stairmaster. And then we have, okay, here are some games which I'm sure will interest some people. We have Star Wars Return of the Jedi, Death Star Battle. We have Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. And we have Star Wars, Jedi Arena. The Atari 2600 did not have any shortage of Star Wars games, which is pretty cool. We have Star Raiders, which is a game I'll talk a little bit more about in the coming little bit. And we have, of course, another game, which I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in seeing, Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator by Sega. And that is a pretty cool game right there as well. Okay, 2 stacks of games left. Although I have no couch room left here. As I mean, like, the whole kind of this side of the couch has been filling up. Well, all the games are over there. Okay, how do I want to do this? Let me grab this. As long as I don't drop a whole stack like this. We're good. We're good. We are pretty good. Okay. Whew. Alright, let's keep going. 2 more stacks to go. Super Breakout, of course, and another variant of Super Breakout. This is the Tell Games variant of that, so you just have a gigantic number on the front right there. Okay, let's see if I can put those there. That might work a little bit. We have Street Racer, a very old style Atari game. From Epix, their labels are very boring, with just white with blue text on them, and that is Summer Games. We have, from Parker Brothers, Super Cobra. What do they think this is? The Super Nintendo? We have Surround. We have Sword Quest Earthworld. We have Sword Quest Fireworld. We have Tapeworm from Spectravision. We have another copy of Tapeworm from Spectravision. We have Tapper, again from Sega. This is a cool game. It has interesting label. We have Target Fun on a Telegames cart. We have Taz, the guy who Crash Bandicoot completely ripped off. We have Tennis from Activision, very green. We have, actually, what is this? No, we have, this one right here. We have Dan Kitchen's Tomcat, the F-14 simulator for Atari 2600 and Atari 7800 in 2600 mode from Absolute Entertainment. I love all the stuff that they had to put on the front there. It's actually pretty funny. And then, lastly, in this stack, we have Towering Inferno, and this one is from US Games. Okay. One more stack to go. One more stack. I got this. I completely got this. Alright. The last stack. Do we have any new variants in this stack? Oh, we might. Let me see here. Trick Shot from the Magic. Tunnel Runner from CBS Electronics. This one right here, we have Vanguard. Is there any difference between these 2 Vanguards? I put them here for a reason. Yes. This Vanguard was released in 1982, and this one has the copyright 1987 on it. So again, it's just like Ms. Pac-Man. It's funny, how far apart those 2 games were actually released. We have Venture on a cart like that, and then we also have Venture in a red cart like this. So you can kind of see the trend that a lot of games that were on these white carts eventually came out on official Atari ones with red borders as well. We have Video Chess, in case you had no one to play real chess with. Video Pinball, in case you had no one to play real pinball with. Video Olympics, in case you had no one to go to the real Olympics with. And this game is absolutely awesome. Warlords. Warlords is one of the best multiplayer games on the Atari 2600. It holds up to 4 players, which, a lot of people are kind of surprised when they hear that the Atari 2600 actually had games that were 4 players. A lot of people thought that was something that came about, when the Nintendo 64 came out, because it was really the first console to actually have 4 ports on the front. Well, one of the first anyway. There were actually consoles like, 5200 that had 4 ports, but no one really knows about that. But yeah, it's actually a very fun game, and it's kind of how do you explain it? It's kind of like Breakout, but it's kind of not, and you have to beat the other person. Just check it out if you ever get the chance. Even though, it's pretty old, I still hook it up quite often when I have friends coming over today. And we have the Tell Games version of that. Number 23. 3 games left. Wizards of War. They're not CBS Electronics anymore. Now they're CBS Video Games, because there's a difference between electronics and video games. We have Word Zapper. And finally, kind of, because there's still a few other things to talk about, we have Yar's Revenge from Atari. Now, that is pretty much every single loose Atari 2600 cartridge that I own. There actually might be a couple other ones not put away nicely that aren't a part of the stack. But yeah, that just goes to show just how many different variants of a cartridge there are. Now, some people might not see the appeal of that, but I think it's so neat. Just kind of looking at all of them and just seeing the kind of variety of cartridges that were released for the Atari 2600. Another console like that is the Famicom, because there was not really any standard for that either. See, I mean, you get weird shapes, weird colors, a whole bunch of different things. So I really like collecting Famicom games for that reason too. You can also sometimes tell, just by looking at the kind of design of a cartridge, whether it's rare or not. Now that's kind of a big deal when you have a console like Atari 2600 that has thousands of games. If you can kind of pinpoint a game and maybe like a random box that someone has and they're selling them off for $1 a piece but they don't know what they're worth, if you can pinpoint, a cartridge that's a design that's way different than the rest of them, that can kind of hint you, okay, maybe this game is worth more than just all, the 10-cent really common official Atari ones. So it's good to kind of learn the different cartridge designs if you are an Atari 2600 collector, so you can kind of pinpoint when you're out in the wild just which games might be worth picking up, and which ones you can kind of just leave there because you probably find them cheaper at a later point in time. I say that even though video games are becoming more and more uncommon every day, especially at thrift stores and stuff like that. You might not be able to find them like I used to be able to. Anyway, still a few more things to go. 4 games right here I want to show. These are double-ended Atari games. So, I mean, wow, you know how you have, like, PlayStation 3 Jack trilogy these days? Where, 3 games on one disc? Well, this was that crazy idea back then. 2 games on one cartridge. Put it in this way for one game and put it in this way for the other game. So this one has Robin Hood and Sir Lancelot on it. So I think that's really funny, the idea, 2 games on one cartridge, by putting it in different ways to play a different one. This one is Artillery Duel. And Chuck Norris, yeah, he's gonna kick your face off with one of his many fists. And this one is Ghost Manor and Spike's Peak. So yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, these ones aren't super common to come by, but yeah, double-ended Atari 2600 cartridges. Keep an eye out for those. And one of the last loose cartridges that I want to show is one of these weird ones with the handle here. I believe I've brought this up in a video before, but if you've ever seen an Atari 2600 cartridge with a handle, pick it up, because games like this usually tend to be quite rare. I'm sure many people have probably heard of Air Raid. It was kind of in a blue one of these. Now that one is super rare, but ones like this aren't exactly common. So just use that as a general guide. If you ever see a game like this one right here, which is Vulture Attack with a handle like this, definitely grab it, because they are on the more sought-after end on the Atari 2600 scale. Alright, a few more minor things to talk about. And then we'll be wrapping it up here. Interesting, Atari 2600 had this crazy Sesame Street kids controller thing, and this is an overlay that goes on it, and there were games like this, Cookie Monsters, Cookie Monster Munch. And yeah, they worked with this gigantic controller like this. So there are also games like that to keep an eye out for. So I had to make sure I showed that variant. And also earlier I showed Star Raiders. Now Star Raiders came in this very nice massive box. Now inside of here is a box that contains a keypad controller like this, which was used to play the game. And this is also an overlay on here again. There's a whole bunch of buttons. If anyone really can anyone tell me what other games used this controller? Was there other ones? I'm trying to remember now. I used to know. If anyone has any information on the video touchpad, feel free to post it in the comments, because I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Like, what other games might have used it. I'm trying to think. None of them really ring a bell. Anyway, but yeah, this is a really cool box, and inside here is a box for the Star Raiders game, which I showed loose in the cart not too long ago. But also a box with that keypad, and this box is in such nice shape and in such nice condition. It even has a comic that was supposed to be included with it back in the day. So this is super complete, and that is something I've always been super happy about having. Now, the final thing that I want to show, before I completely lose my voice, is some boxed Atari games, and just to show you some of the kind of interesting box variants that were out there. Now, your typical boxed Atari 2600 games look like this. Now, inside these kinds of boxes is where you would get your cartridges like this. So, I mean, the black border ones with just the typical picture. I know this isn't the same game. I'm just using it as an example. I guess I could just technically pick this one up then, since it's so close. Like this. So that's the kind of cartridge that you would get inside of a box like that. So there's Warlords. We have Laser Blast. We have Pitfall in the box. We have Atari Pac-Man. Oh man, super massive iconic game. This one right here, these silver boxes, like this one for ET right here, is where the games that have the silver labels would come in. So I'm just trying to find one right here. Man, I cannot pinpoint any of them in the stack. I guess I was grabbing ET. So I mean, yeah, so I mean the Atari cartridges that had kind of the silver outline, it makes sense that they would come in the boxes that had kind of the silver design. So that is another variant of the Atari 2600 box. This one right here is Donkey Kong, and inside of this box is where you find those kind of white cream colored Atari 2600 cartridges. So in a box like that, it's cool to have Atari 2600 Donkey Kong in the box. This one right here, Wizards of War. How do I open up this box? Right here. This is those gray cartridges, so that's another box variant right there. Let me close that up. Here we have Atlantis from Imagix, and you might remember that these cartridges are like this one right here. So I mean, you've got that for that kind of box. I mean, just so many really interesting things. This one right here has the red border, so it kind of indicates that it's one of the Atari 2600 games that would have had the red border around it. Another Imagic game, Riddle of the Sphinx. Here is a Data Age game, Journey. I showed quite a few of those. We have Space Invaders in the silver box. We have the Activision, oh, you're going to make me say this name again. We have that Activision game. And then the last thing I have to show on video today, and I can go get a drink, and it's going to be absolutely awesome, is Dragster. And this is, again, this is Activision, so, I mean, the color of the box kind of indicates what color. Do I have Dragster? No, actually, I might not have a loose copy of Dragster, huh? Unless I'm just having a complete dirt moment, which I could be at this point, because I've been recording for, like, almost 40 minutes. That kind of indicates, you know, the color that would be on the outside of the cartridge. But with that, that is my Atari 2600 video game collection. Now, there's probably a couple things around the room that just aren't with everything else that I'm kind of forgetting to show. But yeah, I hope that everyone enjoyed just seeing, you know, how many different cartridge variants there are, the box variants. Double-ended cartridges are completely bizarre. And yeah, I hope that this video turned out well overall. It was, you know, I'm kind of at different spots today, you know, being crowded in by my NES games. But I hope that everyone enjoyed that. I hope that everyone learned something new about Atari 2600 games. Like I said, NES is kind of my domain, and a lot of Nintendo games are kind of my domain. I like Atari 2600 games, although it's kind of what I've just amassed. You know, kind of not. I don't want to say, you know, I like accidentally, because it's not like I collect like these games coming into my possession were accidents, but I've never put as much of a focus on collecting for Atari as I have for a console like NES. Like, I've obviously never gone on to like eBay and bought an Atari 2600 game or something like that. These are just kind of the games that have come into my possession over the years, after buying lots and, you know, buying a whole bunch of things from people, and, you know, buying games that I wanted. But I've never really, you know, gone super after it like I have for consoles like NES, Super NES, and you know, GameCube, things like that. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who know 10 million times more about Atari 2600 than I do. So please feel free to post anything you want about this console in the comments below, and I'd be very happy to read about that. And whether I reply to it or not will depend on whether or not Google Plus will allow me, as I'm still having problems with that. But people know. Like, it's weird. Some people have a reply button and some people don't. So I don't really know what's up with that. But anyway, yeah. My Atari 2600 stuff, I hope that you enjoyed seeing that. And again, if you have anything you'd like to add to this, or you'd like to correct, you know, something I accidentally slipped up on, please don't be afraid to do that. So, in the meantime, hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you next time for something different. So thanks, and see you later.